In today's show, Trailblazers television analyst Lamar Hurd joins the program. And we talk the Trailblazers outlook for the stretch run. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter Mike Richmond. You listen to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. It's Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, Lamar Hurd, Trailblazers television analyst, joins the program. And we'll talk the impending return of Deni Avdija, Scoot Henderson's play this season, and the rise of Donovan Clingan, and more. Let's just get into it. All right, joining me now, Trailblazers television analyst Lamar Hurd. How you doing, Lamar?
I'm doing good, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's good to catch up with you. Good to have you back on the show. Always appreciate you. We're going to talk all things Blazers, the stretch run of the season and looking ahead. But let's start with the smallest bit of news, which these days for the Portland Trailblazers, unfortunately, is the injury report. The injury report is out, and Deni Avdija has been upgraded to questionable. I won't force you to speculate on what that means, but I'll happily do it. Typically, the way the Blazers have handled long-term injuries, guys have gone from out to doubtful to questionable. Deni Avdija has been questionable or doubtful the last 2 games. He's now upgraded questionable. Typically, that means that Deni's about to come back. In what ways are the Blazers the most different with Deni Avdija on the floor? What is the way he changes them the most, in your opinion?
Well, he puts 25 points on the board. He puts whatever 6-7 assists, 6-7 rebounds. So there's a tangible benefit to having him out there. Then there's all the little things that I know you're well aware of, the way that he can kind of bend the defense, the type of attention he gets when he gets the ball in his hands in the middle of the floor. He just makes other guys' shots even more open. And he's just a threat himself to take over a game at a certain time.
He played really well down the stretch last year. He was really, really good. It was like one of those things where it was like, if he plays like this, he'll be an all-star. But then you kind of feel like, March and April, you don't want to say this. You don't want to stamp it as real. But it was clear that he was really good, right? He took a major step forward the whole second half of last season. The last 35 games, he was very, very good. Did you see this level in him? Was the level he's been at this season, where I think he's probably he's borderline all NBA. And if he's eligible, he will get votes for all NBA. I don't know if he'll make the team, but he'll definitely get votes. Did you see this level in him last year?
I did. And that's not me saying it now because it came to fruition. I even said it to Kevin last year. We were joking earlier about there was a game in San Antonio earlier this season, and somehow Deni's name came up, and we were talking about, where he might go. And I told Kevin, I said, Kev, that's why I mentioned to you last year, I really felt like he could be a franchise type player. And then Kevin, half jokingly, but half serious, was like, no, you didn't. And so I remembered when I did it. It's when we were in New York, and after the game, we were wrapping up the game, and he had a really good game at MSG last year, if you remember that. But I was thinking, when I made the comment, I made it because I was thinking about the totality of Deni's season to where it was at that time. And when he first came in, remember Deni's first few games, how he was getting layups and just missing layups?
Yeah, he couldn't make anything at the rim. Couldn't make anything at the rim. Yeah.
But that's what his career had been based on up until that time. So I felt like, okay, well, that's going to flip. That's not going to last forever. And then when I started to see him with the ball in his hands and how forceful he was, because I didn't know that when he was at Washington. But when I saw how forceful he was, I was like, this is kind of, and I said this in games last season. I said, I'm not saying he's LeBron James. I'm not saying he's Giannis. What I'm saying is when he gets the ball in his hands in the open floor, I'm watching defenses react the same way they react when those two guys have the ball in the open floor. Okay, now he's making threes off the dribble too. So he starts putting these things together with what I knew he could do. And then in addition to all that, he's just such a pleasure to be around. We've had it really good in Portland with Damian Lillard. It doesn't get any better than him in terms of an athlete to be around and to ingratiate himself with the community, the people, the coworkers. Deni is very similar, very. And noticing all that last year, in addition to his basketball, I felt comfortable saying, I think this guy could be like a lot of teams' franchise player. And by the way, we found the tape that I said it at that New York Knicks game. They tried to play it back, and the people in our truck turned the volume down right before I said the word franchise. So Kevin and I had a good kick at that, but then he was able to verify the video later. So it's such like in a roundabout way. Yeah, last year I did see this. I saw like the averages he's hitting now. I thought he'd get better, and I'll tell you another thing, Mike. I really believe there's another level he can go to, and kind of easily, because early in the season, he wasn't shooting the 10-foot shot, the 15-foot shot a whole lot. And like for somebody who can barrel their way to the rim, you're always going to have a defense on its heels. And so even when he gets into the paint, because of how good he is drawing fouls, defense is always going to be back just a little bit. Or at the very most, they'll be vertical. They'll be straight up to avoid getting a foul. And I kept saying, I don't know why Denny won't get to that 10-foot spot and just shoot a little fadeaway, just a little lean back. Like it's a really easy shot to shoot, especially for somebody as good as him. And he started shooting that this year. And he started shooting other pull-ups. So if he gets really efficient in that zone, which I really think he can, I think he's got another level he can hit.
Yeah, I don't know if he's ever going to be a guy who takes the like tween hezzy fall away 19-footers. Like I don't know that he's going to be DeMar DeRozan there, but I do think that that middle of the paint, the like when they give you space because you're so mean on your drives and you just like throw your shoulder into everyone. They say like, okay, don't catch the shoulder, like get him at the rim and contest him there. Well, then you have that little bit of space. I think he's done a really good job in that same area with realizing when he has spacing, throwing those little half lobs with off the dribble with his right hand. Like if you give him a little space and he has that and he has the ball in his right hand, that's a lob. Like he's become a very, very good like half court in traffic lob tosser. He's made Donovan Clingan. He's just given him some easy buckets in those ways. Rob obviously as well. Yeah. And some of that is just reading because guys don't want to give him all that pressure, or they're trying to get him back to his, send him to his right hand, and he says, "Oh, you came up too high," right over the top. I think he's done really those areas. The passing was always there, but his willingness to still be a passer on drives is really something that I've appreciated this year because he's leading the NBA in drives per game when he was playing regularly, and when he was right physically, but he was also leading the league in pass off those drives, right? He was driving because it's valuable, but he was not being, there's times when you need him to be selfish. That's kind of the way the sport works, but he was really using that drive as a weapon for everybody. And I thought that that's like a maturity, right? That's a maturity to understand that I got to use my strengths to make everyone better. And then, like you said, that's kind of how he greases the wheels for everybody.
Yep, and that's his personality. He's always trying to make it better for everybody who's working with him. And that, Mike, what you just explained, it leads me to feel like he can get even better because right now he's making those drives and passes to a team that's been the worst three-point shooting team in the NBA this season. If he gets to a point where there's several shooters lined up around him consistently, he's taken another step. And so right now, the damage he's doing with certain limitations. With all due respect to the guys out there playing and doing their best, one reason the Blazers were so excited to acquire V. Krejci is because they were like, we sorely need shooting. So as that continues to improve around him, I think he'll be really dangerous.
I mentioned to one of the Blazers execs before a game, I said, if you guys ever get real shooters, you'll be like, Denny's going to be even better. And they shot me a look like, how dare you? And I was like, hey, come on, we both know what it is. Like, I'm not trying to be mean to any of these gentlemen. Like they're, but like we know what the level of shooting you guys exists in the league. And I think they've been honest at times about the need for more shooting. And I think if it hadn't been coming from me and sort of an offhanded quip, it would have landed a little better. But I thought it was pretty funny. I was like, Mike, don't say that to me. Okay, fair enough.
Hey, past first point guard can speak up whenever he wants to.
Yeah, no, listen, you have to be if you're gonna be critical away from someone's face, I think it pays off. You might as well say the same thing right in front of their face, right?
Yeah.
Team can't shoot. I've said it. If I'm gonna say it in the
Mike,
mic, I'll say it. I'll say it next to you.
Mike, I don't even consider that critical. I think that's just the truth of the matter. The stats say the team doesn't shoot well.
Right.
So it's not like some crazy opinion. And they know, and guys on the floor who aren't shooting well, nope, they're not shooting well. So everybody knows what it is, and everybody knows that you line some more shooters up around Denny, and good things will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And what good players really do is they don't necessarily make the game easier. Like they don't make players, excuse me, they don't make the players better, but they make it easier. They make all of your decisions easier. So if some of the like Tumani Kamara having to take 4 jab steps and shoot because he's not open on the catch. Well, the catch becomes cleaner because of the drives. Like all of that stuff, it all flows downhill. Um, I want to ask you about Scoot Henderson. Before we do that, I want to tell you that today's show is brought to you by TurboTax. It's tax time, and for a lot of us, the old ways of doing taxes is a lot. Try to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth, and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. All right. Thanks for making this show your first listen. If you're living that everyday lifestyle, make it official. Go join the Locked On Everydayer Club. Get access to an ad-free version of this podcast, the audio feed without any interruptions. Plus, you get to join the members only Discord, where you get to chop it up with me and your fellow Blazers fans about all things Trailblazers basketball. $5 a month, $50 a year gets you access. There's a link to learn more in the show notes. It's lockedonblazers.supercast.com. All right, here's the rest of my conversation with Lamar Hurd. I want to ask you about Scoot Henderson. We haven't seen a ton of him, but he's been back and he's played a bunch. He's in a shooting funk right now. He's really struggled on this road trip to make shots. Last 4 games, he's been not shot well. But beyond the shooting, which I think is obvious, what have you seen from Scoot in his return to the court this year?
This year, I feel like he got off to a pretty good, fast start, considering he hadn't played. Like I was making a point to Kevin. We were talking about this, and I said, the really cool thing about Scoot when he first came back is it's not like an athlete who started the season, got to play some games, got to get in NBA shape, and then got hurt a couple months in, and then had to ramp back up. Like he never got that NBA touch point from a game standpoint until he played a game. And that was really impressive the way he came back to me. Over his last few games, I just because he's missing, I wouldn't say this, but I would say this because of how he's missed certain shots. And he had one in the game against Atlanta where it was a how he missed that stood out to me. Um, I wonder if some of it is mental. It would only be natural to have a bit of a mental obstacle going on in your mind when you just look at the totality of his career to this point. Rookie year wasn't what he or anybody around him expected. Second year, oh, saw some good stuff. Oh, okay, Scoot's shooting threes now. He's shooting off the dribble and all these things. And then coming into this season, Mike, 2 things. Damian Lillard returns. So that's a variable that mentally likely was not a part of his approach before that time. And then he gets hurt. He gets hurt right during the training camp time, right before that time, when he was playing really well. And the reason I say that, I didn't see it, but I say it because the people who came up to me that are in the gym with him every day, that went out of their way to talk about it when there's no cameras on, this wasn't something for me to report in the game. We know he's going to be out for a while. So this isn't like a setup to preview Scoot information. It's just candid conversations. Scoot apparently was doing some real good stuff in that environment at a level that they hadn't seen him do it. So with the coming in and then knowing like, okay, the clock is ticking. Like we're a month and a half of Blazer basketball away from Damian Lillard returning. Now, we don't know what that means exactly and how they're going to integrate and all that, but we know he's one of the best still doing it. So he's going to play a factor. So I can only imagine to an extent, maybe not a lot. Scoot knows that. And he knows that this is an important time for him to make an impression. Um, I it's easy to say, well, sometimes it feels like he's pressing a little bit, but I'm not so sure that that's the case because some of the same misses that I'm saying he's had that stood out to me, like, whoa, that didn't look good. I've seen him make the shot in that same scenario. So I don't know if it's pressing or just a matter of, confidence wavering a little bit. And Mike, you've been around Scoot. You know, Scoot's a very confident young man, even back to his rookie season when he wasn't playing the way he wanted to play. If you talk to him, you wouldn't know that. Like, he would think everything was going great because he believes and knows he's going to break out of whatever the funk is, which he did from rookie year to year two. So I'm just hopeful that at some point over these next couple games that he's able to re-engage himself in a way that he feels good about and that Blazer fans can feel good about.
Yeah, the first 3-4 games that he played, it was like, oh yeah, he's gonna help. Like he can really do some stuff. He can really help. And then I think he's just kind of struggled with the efficiency stuff and then outside shooting. I think some of it is just like maybe just the natural course of like having a bad shooting game. But like you said, some of the misses like being way off. It's like, okay, oh yeah, that's at least something to note it, right? They're just way off. Like not like
Well, yeah,
missing just short.
yeah, like in the Atlanta game, he had two threes. I think it was his first two threes. I don't remember if it was his, but he had two that didn't hit the rim. He had a layup where now he was trying to plant to his left and then go back to the right and reverse the ball, but it hit the glass and then just bounced off. That's like an air ball essentially from a layup position. And Scoot's better than that. So like he's had certain misses where it just seems like, all right, something's going on. Not so sure what it is, but whatever it is, I do believe he'll snap out of it.
Yeah, yeah, you were talking about his confidence. I think I don't know if I don't think I've shared this on the podcast, but I'm like 0 for 3, maybe 0 for 4 lifetime getting Scoot to admit that his confidence is shaken. I've gone into the locker room, kind of had like some one-on-one moments with him and been like, have you like, maybe changed the way you think about this? And that is absolutely not. Nope. No, no. And I'm like, then I'll go back months later and say like, has this changed? No, nope, nothing's changed. Nope, still feel the same way. No, he's like, he is whether it is how real it is or whatever, but he's certainly not about to tell me that he feels like it's like his outlook is any different. He has a certain amount of confidence that is, I think, required to be in the league. I think that is if nothing else, I think that's a good sign for the most part, that you have that level of confidence.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to stick. And you gotta believe that you will. On Scoot, I think the best version of Scoot for me is the guy who, pick and roll, screen, rescreen, dribble, see the read, gets to play with the ball in his hands. With Deni back, Scoot has to play a little bit off the ball. Not exclusively, right? But you have to balance that, right? What do you think about him as an off-ball player at this stage? Like where has he excelled and where can he get better?
Inconclusive to me. Some places he's excelled is when, they space him out a little bit and they run that action to get the stampede catch. And with his speed and his leverage, he's able to kind of step on people. He is a catch and shoot threat. Well, I mean, not including the last few games, but he turned himself into someone that defenses didn't just comfortably leave wide open. They still weren't, maybe running him off the line or that kind of thing. But they were mixing up pick and roll coverage. They weren't just going under all the time. Sometimes it's under then over or vice versa. So he gained a level of respect off the ball. I just with him and Denny on the floor, I think that's a tough unless one of those two guys might start shooting 40% from three or something of that nature. I don't know how good that tandem will work. I think in spots it can definitely work depending on matchups, depending, like it can work. But I think what happened is Denny came over here, and at the time when Denny came over, I don't think the idea was this guy's gonna be the one we're putting the ball in his hands. And we're like from the standpoint of the at the point guard position, or hey, Ball needs to be in his hands 12 out of the 24 seconds of the shot clock. That's what
Right.
we're Luka Doncic with this guy from time to time. I don't know that was the plan. So at that time, it's like, yeah, Scoot still will have the ball in his hands and he's gonna make stuff happen and all that. But like things happen, and I know you've seen this kind of thing before. As a team evolves, you start finding out certain things and you start figuring out, okay, well, we're gonna go this direction with this plan. So, maybe it started off and the team was thinking Scoot's gonna be the point guard, and they still might be thinking that, but they also could be thinking, okay, we got to figure out how to get Scoot playing off the ball because we need that ball in Denny's hands. So I think it's inconclusive right now, and that's just another one of those bummers of him not playing the season. Like that was the kind of thing that we wanted to find out more of, and it's what I'll be looking for. The last 20 games or whatever number we're at now.
Yeah. Listen, you never ask an NBA team employee to tell you what day of the week is it or how many games they played. You know what day of the week it is? It's Memphis. It is it is game against Memphis, a day of the week. Yeah, I wonder with that. Like I think I'm with you, is that the balance there seems tricky because Deni has been a pretty good spot up shooter, but it doesn't maximize him, right? It takes away some of his superpower. And like one of the things that I strongly believe, and I think I've stolen this from Mike D'Antoni and kind of looped it into my own thing, is like you might as well do what you're best at every time down the floor. Like that, there is value in just doing what you're best at every time down the floor. Choosing not to do that is a choice you make. So maybe some of it is figuring out what Scoot is absolutely the best at, how to maximize that and play off of Deni there, because I think Denny's earned the sort of like the guy. He's yeah,
That's the thing. Denny has put pressure on the timeline now because
he has.
before this, the idea of Blazer basketball was, let's find out what these guys got. Let's experiment. Let's try different lineups. Let's try guys at different positions. Hey, you're not a three-point shooter? Well, you can try it right now. And what Denny has done is he's fast-tracked it a little bit where it's like, all right, the trial period is nearing its end because there's this one guy that doesn't need any more of a trial period. And so now you got to start doing some things that you feel more certain about. So, Denny has taken away that time from some of those teammates, but hopefully, like I said, within these last few weeks, they can still find a time like Scoot can continue to explore his game a little bit. Denny, when he comes back, depending on what's going on, depending on how many wins the team needs to, be in a play-in and move up and all that kind of stuff. That stuff will dictate what they are able to do trial and error with and what they got to say, no, we gotta go with what we know on this.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting way to put it. It's like their ability to be uncertain that window has closed. They are there. It is time to be more certain about what you've got. I think that's a good, really interesting way to frame it. Let's talk Donovan Clingan a little bit. First, I want to tell you that today's show is brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like being in the arena. Going to games, experiencing the big moments, the big shots, the big plays with folks you love, folks you like, folks you tolerate just because they happen to work with you. Well, it's a blast because being in the arena is the fun part, but getting tickets, that's not always fun and not always so simple, except now it can be simpler because Game Time is the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs. That is advantage with you, the fan. Pull up the Game Time app, pick an upcoming NBA game in your area, and you can have tickets locked in just a few minutes. I like the Game Time app because it's clean and intuitive. Whatever venue you want to go to, say it's the Moda Center when the Blazers get back from this road trip, the Moda Center picture of it comes right up on your phone, little arena map. What you see is what you get pricing. So when you're scrolling around, deciding whether you want to sit upstairs, downstairs, close, far away, whatever it might be, you're not going to have surprise fees at checkout because all-in pricing is upfront right there while you are browsing. And you can take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not gametime.com. Still a pass first point guard, still Mike Richmond, still listen to Locked On Blazers. Here's the rest of my conversation with Trailblazers TV analyst Lamar Hurd. Let's talk Donovan Clingan a little bit because dude had a monster February. He had a monster February. He listen, quietly, he did kind of get the Locked On Blazers curse. He had a really nice December, and I brought him on the show. he kind of had a bad January shooting the ball, and then he got further away from the show, and then he was awesome in February. So I think he shook off the Locked On Blazers curse. I hope it doesn't happen to you. You're gonna be flubbing names tomorrow and just missing coverages. Um, but what have you appreciated most about Donovan Clingan's rise in his second season?
Well, talk about trial and error. I appreciate Donovan's ability and willingness to shoot the 3-point shot, even when things weren't going well. And he had times early in the season when missing a lot. He kept shooting it because he's put the work in on it. I appreciate that. And I appreciate how much better he is finishing plays this season compared to last season. And I don't want to say that he got better at that. Oh, Mike, you're giving me a look. So let me. Okay. Oh, you made it.
No, I agree. I agree. He's finishing well. He's finishing well. I agree.
Okay. Sounds fair. He and I'm not saying finishing well. I'm saying better than last season. So last season, sure, times Donovan would get the rebound, and I did not feel like, oh, he's about to drop step and dunk this, or he's about to power through somebody and finish this play. And he has done that more this year than he did all of last season, in my estimation. Right. So that's one of the things I'm happy about him being more assertive with that because he's got a size advantage most nights. And then just defensively, I know he's not blocking the shots the same way. He's altering a lot of shots. They're wanting to keep him down low all the time, so like they want to have him drop off of his man when he's off ball. And the Blazers will sit in drop coverage a lot of times in a pick and roll. And even with that, like once people get into the paint, he's good at defending against the 2-on-1 and, being disruptive. But the next thing is going to be for him having a bit of a Rob Williams ability where if the team does go small or if they do drag him out to the 3-point line, Coach Splitter feels comfortable knowing that they want to keep Donovan by the rim, but he's able to get out a little bit better, slide his feet, and just be helpful in that particular case.
Yeah, I think there's some angst among the fan base about the way teams are able to sort of target the Blazers with that drop coverage a little bit on 3-point shooting. I think it's a little bit overstated. I mean, some of it is like recency bias because Onyeka Okongwu just got hot. But the first couple threes he made were from the corner. They weren't really necessarily drop coverage. They were more like helping in from the weak side, which is like a very normal NBA thing. Like you're gonna pull in from the weak side. Every team does it. This just he hit him. He hit him, and it feels a lot worse. But like there were some moments where they could have gotten further out on Okongwu later in the game, but I think the first two specifically were more like weak side threes that he just hit. Do you what do you make of the defense this year? It hasn't been as good. I think Clingan has been a really good rim deterrent, but again, his shot blocking is down and the overall block percentage is down. But what do you make of the defense this year? Like, is it just the case of like a million little things that are not as sharp or why aren't they as good as they were for that stretch last year when they were really awesome? They were great at the end of the year.
Well, there's a couple factors here. They got a different coach right now. So, we know Coach Billups' defense was really big on his priority list to the point where a guy like Shaedon Sharpe, who was scoring well, got sat because Coach didn't feel like he was playing defense. The injuries, I think, put stuff in a bit of a tailspin where the identity they wanted to have, they didn't feel comfortable that they could have that with the limited lineup that they were playing out there. But even with that, the defense has not been what I thought it would be. There was a game. Who was it? It was a home game. It was recently, and against Denver. Remember that Denver won by, I don't know, what, 40, 50 points, whatever they won by?
54 maybe?
Yes. So in that game, the first half, the Blazers were already getting blown out, and nothing they were doing defensively was working well. And so I told Kevin, I was like, this to me seems like a good time to go to that small chaos lineup and just see. And I'm not even saying it's going to work, but nothing else was working. So this is just something that they could try that we had seen early in the season. Times when they went to it, it did work. So I thought it'd be a good time to do that. And when they came out of halftime, nothing changed. Nothing changed from that standpoint. The intensity didn't increase. The lineup wasn't a faster lineup. They went to it late in that game. But that lineup and that style of play is something that I just thought we would be seeing a lot more. And somewhere along the way, I think just for Coach Splitter and the staff, they settled on a comfort of playing the way we've seen them play with the guys that they have. So it's unfortunate because defensively they should have been one of the better teams in the NBA the whole time with their personnel, but it just never really came to fruition. And some of that, the defensive ace, the guy who was second team last year, Tumani Kamara, even thinking about the defensive load he had to carry throughout the early part of the season when guys started going down. The same way how on offense, better players can like make other guys' life easier, like you were saying. It works the same way defensively. And I think if they had that defensive chaotic lineup all the time, even he would have shined even more. And I don't even think he was bad. I think he's been good. But I'm just saying, I think he would have looked better. I think he would have looked even better. So I think I would just chalk it up to the injuries and that throwing off the lineups, a place where the coaching staff felt like the way that they are playing is the way that they needed to play.
Yeah, I think early, the first 4 games or whatever, the small lineup, I was gonna call the tiny lineup, but they play a lot of dudes, like 6'5" plus. The smaller lineup, centerless lineup was awesome. Like, it was lights out. And then after some injuries, I think at least the numbers, like, in the centerless lineups, they were just awful on defense. And I think they kind of said, okay, we're gonna play a center. Like, we're gonna play a center. And then it took them so long to get back and get healthy that they're probably not as comfortable as they might be. They've tried it a little bit, but they haven't really leaned into it in the way you thought they would. And I think Splitter, Tiago's talking about this a little bit, is like he felt like he was putting a lot on Tumani's plate at some point this season. It's like he's playing 38 minutes. Like, how much can I ask him to do? And I think Tumani has not been as good on defense, but I still think honestly, for me, I think Tumani has still been one of the better defenders in the league without a doubt.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll make all defense this year just because of the team's overall defense, but Tumani to me is not the number one. I wonder a little bit of it is just like because of all the injuries, it's like the offensive load for Deni Avdija has been massive, and that's taken a little bit away from him on defense. And he's a very good defender, but it's like you only have so much human energy to use out on the court, and he's expending it running 10,000 pick and rolls a game, right? And it's so I think some of it is if you balance the offense and get him a little more comfort there, you can get back to defense. And I think I think it's there for him. Like, I think like you said, I think the personnel is there for them to be a good defense. I thought they were going to be a top 10 defense in the league, and they just have not been. And so it's been surprising to me. Lamar, thank you so much for your time. It is always a pleasure to chat with you. You are truly one of the great. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna say this. I'm just gonna give you just a big old compliment, and you're gonna have to sit through it. But listen, I'm a league pass junkie. I'm a league pass junkie. I watched so many league pass games to the point where I have some no fly zones. There's some broadcasts where I'm like, we're watching this game on mute. I'm not. We don't fly here. That's not going to work for me. But I would say I think the thing you do better than maybe anyone else in the league is quickly recognize and diagnose what the heck just happens. And I hope Blazer fans realize that, because if you watch as much league pass as I do, there are really fun broadcasts out there. But I don't know that anyone can say, here's why this happened as quickly in the league as Lamar. He is as good at it as anybody. He says, well, they were on top of the screen, and so it allowed them to go backdoor. And when they backdoor, the weak side guy had to help, and that's why the corner's wide open. And Lamar can do that at full speed. He can do it as the game is happening. He doesn't need to see the replay 6 times, and you do not get that other places. So Blazer fans, appreciate Lamar, because he is watching the game at a very high level, and he's making you smarter about hoops. And if there's anything we appreciate on Locked On Blazers, it's trying to get smarter about hoops. Lamar, thanks so much. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Dear listeners, come back for tomorrow's show. Blazers, Grizzlies. Grizzlies are in Minnesota right now. They're playing a basketball game that starts, to kind of timestamp this a little bit, soon. They're playing a basketball game that starts in 25 minutes. So they'll be in a second night of a back-to-back and traveling. Blazers play a little rest advantage in Memphis. Chance to end a losing streak, get rights against the Grizzlies. And after that game, we'll have you covered for everything that happens, because that's what we do 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts, also on YouTube. Tell your friends about the show, and then come back for more the rest of the week. I appreciate you listening. I will talk to you soon.